in the first match, there was an opportunity to play that match. They announced a 13 overs a side game, but then soon afterwards, the rain had returned. And as we can see in the pictures on T Sports, you can see that there is still a bit of rain around in Rajshahi. That's the bad news from here.
Yeah, unfortunate that the rain has come once again. And it's the sort of niggling, very irritating sort of rain where it just doesn't go away. We've seen passing showers, we've seen heavy drizzles. This is a very, very light drizzle where you really don't get an opportunity to get any sunlight in, and the rain just continues to fall. As a result, the ground stays wet, and we have seen certain patches in the outfield which is quite wet and certainly dangerous to field in.
ওয়ালটন এখন দেশের সীমানা পেরিয়ে পৌঁছে গিয়েছে 50টিরও বেশি দেশে। ওয়ালটন, ঘরে ঘরে বিশ্বজুড়ে।
Yes, that's exactly why we are not playing right now, because the playing square is quite dry, and even the 30-yard circle is pretty good. That part dried up fast, but as you can see that there are large covers on the ground here in the Rajshahi Divisional Stadium. They cover most of the 30-yard circle, which is quite an impressive feat, but it's only natural that most of the outfield remains unattended in that way, and there is a bit of water, unfortunately. And when you walk through that outfield, you can feel the squelchy underneath. The teams had come out, they had done a bit of training, a bit of warm up, but otherwise there hasn't been any action here in Rajshahi. The only people we can see is obviously the ground staff, who have been really working hard to make us entertained, but it has only been rain here in Rajshahi.
Yeah, the ground staff, you have to give them credit though. They've tried to keep the ground as dry as possible despite the rain. Speaking of the players, a lot of players came from Bogura, where there's also rain. In fact, in most parts in Bangladesh, it is raining persistently, has to be said. And as a player, how do you prepare when you see so much rain, so many delays, perhaps matches getting curtailed? How do you prepare for that?
Yes, that takes me back to my own playing days when we used to sit around, even if it was for a 50-over game or a 20-over game. I mean, you'd sit around in the dressing room. It's always, coaches used to tell us that it's always key to switch on quickly, because these decisions are also made very fast. Match referee and the match officials, they're doing all these inspections, and suddenly, you have to be ready for a shortened game, and then you have to switch on. I used to see a lot of players who couldn't switch on time, and there were also a lot of players who would never switch off. One person who comes to mind is Mushfiqur Rahim. He was always, focused on what was going to happen. He would always fidget around with the ball. There's different routines and different idiosyncrasies that players take pride in to stay focused. Like some stare at the ball, or some are playing a bit of 𝗂𝗵𝗄𝗃 with the ball and the bat. Sometimes there's a bit of hijinks as well. People play a bit of cricket inside the dressing room. There's a bit of fun going on, but it's always important in a professional setting to keep an eye out what's happening in the middle. If it's abandoned, it's abandoned. It's a professional game. But the thing that happened yesterday, where the team suddenly, learned that it will be a 5-over game. How do you switch on for that? So that's the challenge. And some players are really good at it. Some players take a bit of time. You can't have too much fun, and you also can't be too serious. So there has to be a balance in between.
I think that balance is on show as far as these ground staff are concerned, because while we can't hear them during the broadcast, but when I was listening to how much they're trying to enjoy doing this job, all of them are trying to keep each other cheered up when they're doing such a thankless job where they don't honestly get enough credit. But still, we hope and pray that the rain goes away and that we can get some cricket back, because the NCL has a very packed schedule, and teams will want to get points on the board.
Yes, and it's also the season opener in Bangladesh's domestic scene, the NCL T20s. It's a very commendable schedule from the cricket board that they made sure that the NCL T20 is being held before the BPL drafts that is likely to take place next month or sometimes later. The teams, the BPL franchises will see this tournament. They can spot one or two big talents coming up, and then they can rope them in. So it's also great for the players. They can get good contracts in the BPL. But when there's rain around, I mean, unfortunately, and we are in a city which is very famous for cricket and cricketers. Rajshahi is one of the established headquarters of cricket in Bangladesh. It has produced a number of test cricketers, top quality cricketers, and even a lot of cricketers from outside have come to Rajshahi to train in these academies. There's some really good academies here as well. So it's all disappointing for people of Rajshahi who have turned up yesterday. We saw a large crowd outside the ground, Shanur, when the match was going on, or after the match when the teams were leaving. That's very sweet. I mean, that's very nice of the people here that they have turned up in such great numbers to support cricket. That's the biggest disappointing factor. I think the players are used to having rain breaks, but this is the first T20 tournament of this scale in Rajshahi, and there's no cricket yet.
Yeah, and those are not very great scenes because the cloud cover is there. It's quite gloomy in the ground, and you can see the umpire carrying an umbrella because there is a very light, but it is a persistent drizzle.
Yes, it's a very irritating rain. You won't really get wet when you're around. You don't need an umbrella all the time, but it's still there. And the thing with cricket is it has to be held in perfect conditions. At least it has to start in perfect conditions.
For more updates, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Download 𝗃𝗵𝗴𝗲 app to enjoy exciting games and highlights. Visit 𝗃𝗵𝗴𝗲𝗂.com.